Hey guys, today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different, and that is making an actual campaign review of Black Ops 7, and I'll be letting you know if it's worth playing. So I'm going to start off with a non-spoiler sort of opinions, and then we'll get into a full-on spoiler review, and I'll put timestamps to kind of separate the first half and second half of the video. But just getting to the non-spoilery stuff, before this game even came out, I was already very concerned that they were trying to canonize a specific ending of Black Ops 2, and how they might tarnish the legacy of Black Ops 2. Now I will say, if you're concerned about that as well, they don't really tarnish the legacy of Black Ops 2, but it's sort of just a mediocre, sort of pointless story overall, and pretty forgettable, I'd say. The main antagonist is pretty forgettable, and they're not really built up, like you don't hate them by the end of the game, so it's definitely nothing of the likes compared to, you know, Menendez, or even Dragovich from the older Black Ops games. If I was to compare the villain of this game, I'd say it's sort of similar to I Just Don't Really Care, the same as kind of Black Ops 6's was. And now I could say that Black Ops 6 was made, the campaign in that story, specifically just to make this sequel to BO2, as they're calling it, so that they can pick up some loose strings from Black Ops 6 and make a whole game out of it in the future in Black Ops 7. Which, it does sort of make sense, but it's a bit weird because they just kind of shoehorn stuff in, and it does break the canon of Black Ops 2 very lightly. So for me personally, I just kind of say that any story past Black Ops 2, past about 2012 in terms of COD releases, I just don't consider canon to the Black Ops story. I just go World at War to BO2. BO3 was alright, but that was kind of its own thing, and a lot of people don't really like that game. First thing I noticed when I actually hopped into playing Black Ops 7's campaign is, oh no, it's Warzone. That's right, get ready to start plating up in the campaign. And if that wasn't enough, there's weapon rarities. So you have to go and keep upgrading the rarity of your weapon because you're going to be coming across tier 1 enemies, tier 2 enemies, tier 3 enemies that are stronger and stronger. So what it seems to be is, you know, that sort of endgame mode that they set up, which is sort of like DMZ, which you can play after you beat the campaign. And there's sort of like tiered zones, which makes sense in sort of a big PvE open world map like that, where there's tiered zones where as you progress higher in the tiers, there's stronger enemies, but they just threw that into the campaign, so the farther you go through the campaign, the stronger the enemies become. It wasn't too big of an issue because as you progress through the campaign, you also get sort of like upgrades. It really didn't feel like a Call of Duty campaign. It felt very generic, and it was sort of like, it's hard to explain. It's like every level is like made for a co-op, specifically a co-op group of 4, and then there's just a boss to fight at the end. It reminds me sort of some like generic shooter that would have just a boss at the end of each level just to make it interesting for co-op. Maybe like Warframe or something like that. I haven't played Warframe in a long time, but from my memory, it was just like go in, do a mission, fight a boss, then leave type of thing. That's sort of what it reminds me of. And honestly, I was a little disappointed that it wasn't a traditional campaign with co-op featured, but instead it's entirely built around the co-op stuff, making it very co-op oriented rather than more cinematic or campaign focused. There were some missions that were stealth missions, maybe like 2 of them, and if you're playing co-op with randoms, it's pretty much always going to go loud, so that was unfortunate. One interesting thing though is usually in the campaign they always tell you what to do, where to go, exactly, but this time around they had your objective on screen. You could view your objective, but you had to sort of figure it out in some instances. There wasn't really an indicator, like you had to figure out how do you open this door? I gotta go search around this building and find a way to open this door. So that's always nice to see. It's not always holding your hand to solve little things like that. Overall, the campaign was forgettable, and as a solo player, it's not really worth playing. Not even for the story, but if you're just looking to play something with friends, you know, some PvE stuff, and to unlock the end game, of course, and if you like that kind of stuff, just running PvE missions with your friends, that's pretty much what I'd say this would be good for. So overall, I'd give it maybe a 5 or a 6 at most out of 10. And where I would rank this amongst the other Black Ops games, I will put Black Ops 1 as my #1 favorite, Black Ops 2 underneath that, then I would probably put Cold War underneath that, then Black Ops 3 underneath that, then Black Ops 6 underneath all of that, And then now I'd put Black Ops 7 about the same as Black Ops 6, I would say, depending how you look at it. But considering its pros and cons, that's about where I would put it. But yeah, guys, that's my non-spoiler review of Black Ops 7's campaign. So now let's get into some of the spoiler details. So the game starts off with revealing Menendez is back. A new recording's come out from him, and he's threatening the world once again, and Mason and his team want to get to the bottom of it. So basically, Mason and his team go to Avalon and go to a facility for the guild, immediately thrown right in. Already they're looking into the guild, and your team ends up getting trapped and tested on by Emma Kagan, the leader, the CEO, with their poisonous gas that we learn is called the Cradle, which of course is straight from Black Ops 6. So, a good handful of missions throughout this campaign, you and your squad are gassed, and you're just hallucinating. So the entire mission, a good chunk of the campaign, is just in your head. Like, none of it's real, none of it matters, but you have to get through the level to see what's actually happening in reality type of thing. In some instances, you fight through an entire level in your head, and you come back to reality, and you're just in the same exact place where you left off. But in some cases, you come out of the hallucination, and you've traveled, like, very far away from where you originally were. So not sure how that works, and if you're curious about how they have shared experiences inside of their hallucinations, they explain that they have a chip implant, which I think they're referencing from Black Ops 3, basically like a neuralink, which allows them to share what they see and sometimes what they feel and think if there's some issues with it with the rest of their squad, anyone else who has that chip and is synced with them. A bunch of the hallucination missions are actually just their past memories. So there's like, for some reason, Mason has memories of Nicaragua with Menendez, even though he was never there. So for some reason we're playing there. We're playing in locations where some of these people have never even been or seen, but they were just told about. So David is recalling places that Woods told him about, basically. So there's a few themed around the Masons, a few themed around Menendez, one themed around Woods, one themed around the new girl, and one themed around Samuels, who was a Secret Service agent during Black Ops 2's campaign. I will say it is weird that Karma upgraded from like a tech girl, just a random tech girl with no military connections, to somehow running this team, basically, and being the girl on the phone, basically, and also an ops agent who can take people down. Interesting. As well as Samuels, who just was a Secret Service agent and completely altered to be, part of Mason's squad now. I guess it does make sense for him at least, though. Karma, though, as I've been made known, should be dead if Harper is alive. That's just how the Black Ops 2 decisions happen. If you kill Harper, Karma would be alive, but if you keep Harper alive, Karma would be dead. I believe Ink Slasher has broken this down. So they have broken Black Ops 2 canon there, because Karma and Harper are both alive and well in this campaign. But in this game, they do confirm that Woods did in fact kill Alex Mason, and Woods is dead by the time Black Ops 7 comes around, just from like old age or cancer or something like that. So he did survive the end of Black Ops 2, and it's also confirmed that David did kill Menendez. So after the first time your team gets gassed, you come out of it, and then you basically go all throughout the rest of Avalon, stopping other things with the guild, getting gassed here occasionally, ultimately ending up to face Kagan and stop their final plan at the final mission. And as I mentioned, basically every mission you run through at the very end, you are going to fight a boss. There was some cool ones like some mechs and stuff like that. There was some dumb one like a sniper that just teleports every time you shoot at her. There was some pointless plotline about there being a mole inside of your JSOC team. So everyone's all untrustworthy of each other. And then you just find out it's the new guy you never even knew who told you originally that there was a mole, and there was not really any buildup or anything from that, so it was just kind of a pointless thing tagged on. Eventually, you do figure out that Menendez is actually just a deep fake video being done by the guild. But ultimately, you and your team find out that the guild, with Emma Kagan leading it, is trying to basically use the Cradle to gas bomb a huge portion of the world, major countries, so that then they can come in and sell their services of being a private military corporation to sort of secure them and keep them safe. Of course, Mason and his JSOC team stop her, and ultimately they do not kill her because Mason thinks to himself, oh, I killed Menendez, and there was all these like riots and uprisings, so we're just going to capture Kagan and take her away. Wasn't really much of a fight with her. She remote controlled some mechs in the final fight, and that's basically what you're fighting, just the mechs. And then after you destroy the mechs, then you just walk up to her and take her down. After that, it just throws you straight into endgame, and I feel like endgame is just the real focus here because the campaign wasn't too crazy, wasn't too memorable, and most of the campaign actually took place on the endgame map itself and various multiplayer maps, oddly. Which did feel weird because there was like small ones, like Hijacked, and it's just the hijacked boat. And it's like, this is kind of strange for a campaign mission. But Endgame is pretty interesting. It's basically Modern Warfare Zombies meets DMZ, and that's pretty much it. I was playing with randoms throughout my entire campaign, and I beat it in about 4 hours. But yeah, overall, I felt it was like very Warzone-y. So there's like loot crates around, things you can search for and acquire, there's armor plates, weapon rarities, all that stuff. Very Warzone-y. It's not really too big on that, but overall it was just an okay game. Very forgettable, probably won't play it again, and doesn't really have like cool action set pieces that I can think of right off the top of my head. Even compared to Black Ops 6, like BO6, I immediately think to that sort of presidential gala and you're busting out on bikes and everything. That's a cool action set piece in Black Ops 6, but I can't really think of one of those in Black Ops 7. I will give them props to have some interesting boss fights you can fight with a group of friends. Yeah, guys, that's going to be it for this review. Let me know your guys' thoughts on all this in the comments down below. Have you guys played the campaign yet? And what do you think? And let me know if I helped you on deciding if you should play it in the first place. But until next time, guys, peace out.